We can start it. I would like to open the meeting and ask Madam Clerk to please take the roll.
Members Munoz?
Here.
Riley?
Here.
McCarthy Olmsted?
Here.
Hedges?
Here.
Sloan?
Here.
Leary?
Here.
Sandu?
Here.
Gull?
Here.
Marcius Reed?
Here.
Hackett Little?
Present.
Chair Middleton?
Here.
And Chair Spees.
Present.
With those members present, we do have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Mr. Herman from Sac Life to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Metro replay statement and meeting announcement?
Absolutely. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable, Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Saturday, June 6 at 3 p.m. on Metro Cable, Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14. The meeting announcement reads, the Commission fosters public engagement during the meeting and encourages public participation, civility, and the use of courteous language. To make a comment in person, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to clerk staff. The chairperson will open public comments for each off-agenda item and direct the clerk to call the name of each speaker. When the clerk calls your name, please come to the podium and make your comment. You may send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed on the record, and that concludes the statement and announcement.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Before we call the first item, I'm going to take a little bit of chair privilege at a couple of points during this meeting. But before I get started, I want to say that there are no enemies or adversaries in this room. Amen. While we have competing interests, we share a common challenge, and that is a declining revenue. I ask for commitment from all participants, behind the dais as well as in the audience, and front and behind the dais and in the audience, that we address the problem with vigor and address each other with peace, love, and respect. So with a steady hand on the tiller, Madam Clerk, please call the first item.
Item number 1 is public comments relating to matters not on the posted agenda.
And thank you. Do we have any public comments?
I have not received any public comments for item number 1.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Item number 2 is adopt the resolution approving the 16th Amendment to the license and operations agreements pertaining to the use of community program channels. Programming channels.
Fantastic. And do we have any speakers signed up for the consent calendar?
We have not received any public comments for the consent calendar matters.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the consent items?
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. I don't think we're using voting buttons, but or are we using voting buttons?
We are signed up to use the electronic voting.
I would love to use voting buttons. It makes life so much easier.
And I have just been informed that we actually do have 2 public comments on item number 4. My apologies. Let me pull those up here.
On item 4. Okay.
And I will go ahead and read the item into the record.
Okay.
Item number 4 is receive and file the revision of Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission Personnel Policies Manual.
Okay. And so our first speaker signed up is Ella Tomlin. Immediately following will be Renee Balcom. So Ms. Balcom, if you could be ready, please be so. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here this afternoon. I'm going to try to get through this
without crying, and you'll understand why when I get started. My name's Ella Tomlin, and I'm speaking on behalf of my son, Will Tomlin. He's actually currently at his high school graduation practice and would like to be here in lieu of me, but I'm going to try to do the best I can to share some of his thoughts about Access Sacramento. Excuse me, sorry.
Before you get started, I might be able to help you out a little bit.
Okay.
If you're speaking about Access Sacramento,
Am I on the wrong item number?
we might have a better agenda item for that.
Perfect.
I'm not.
Perfect.
I want you to be here. I don't.
It's okay. They
What
told
would
me
be-
to write down number 4, so.
I think it would be more appropriate. I think it's during the budget item
Okay,
that we're
sounds
having that
great. I will
conversation.
sit down and I'll be able to compose myself.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I don't like to interrupt folks. So, Renee Balcom, are you speaking to the item 4, or are you speaking to in support
Section
of?
4.
Okay, all right.
I also made that mistake. I put the wrong item.
You put the wrong item?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think,
Okay, so it should be section 4. Okay. So are you good with coming in a little bit later on it?
I'll wait.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All righty, so I think we're back to, we have a motion and a second on the consent items, and we have a voting buttons coming.
Before I pull up the voting, the first was Sandu, the second was Munoz. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that item passes with the members present all voting yes, except for member Reed abstaining.
Okay, thank you very much. So that motion passes. And I need to correct something here. When you said you were speaking for Access Sacramento, are you speaking about Access Sacramento's budget, or are you speaking about Access Sacramento? Because it could be, if it's Access Sacramento budget, that would be Section 3, Item 5. Right? Okay, as long as we got them in the right place. It's not, did you have it in the right place?
I didn't, well, I just want to make sure. So for those two individuals who did come up, you guys are going to be speaking on item number 5 in that section 4. Is that what you're referring to? Okay, yes.
In support of Access Sacramento.
Yes.
All right, I just wanted to I didn't want to put you too late and then, all right. Perfect. So with that then, I believe, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Okay, then that brings us to item number 5 is conduct the public hearing, discuss vacancies, and approve the fiscal year 2026-27 general fund and public education and government fee fund preliminary budgets to include all resolutions, attachments, and exhibits.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Mr. Ayala, I believe you have a presentation for us.
Can you guys hear me? My name is Sean Ayala. I'm your executive director for the Cable Commission. I'm going to look at preliminary budget numbers, but I wanted to kind of give you the big picture on how we landed here. Revenue last year was about $7,997,868. Expenditures were $3,395,115 because of the cuts that were made to the channel licensees in the fourth quarter and to the Metro team. I want to thank the Metro team for doing everything they can to economize our budget. They were underspent by 27% on personnel costs last year, 27% on supplies and services, and 50% on PEG. What that did is that freed up a block of money that I could insert into this year's budget. So we have a large carry forward number, and then hopefully y'all can vote or direct me on what you'd like me to do for next steps. Assembly Bill 2561, we started this last year. This notes our vacancies. We have a 27% vacancy rate. Basically, we reduced our personnel administrative costs by 13% last year. Again, that creates carry forward money for this year's budget. Metro covers all of these jurisdictions meetings. We've added a new one, and that is, if I get the pointer to work, that is SCRS, and I think we signed that contract this week. Great. Oh, so this is the first time we're announcing disaster council also. Okay, my apologies. We also earlier added disaster council. If you'll notice the green asterisks next to the name of the agency or jurisdiction, however they define themselves, those agencies are paying us to cover their meetings. The 7 JPA members are included just as part of the membership services that we provide those jurisdictions. And then we did League of Women Voters this year. We did one meeting for them in board chambers. About every 2 to 4 years, we host a meeting here. Planning Commission is new, and then obviously our meeting is included as part of the 14 coverage, but we don't pay ourselves to cover our meeting. Okay, because we were able to conserve money at the end of this year, and this is a little bit of a projection because we're not all the way through this month yet, there's a carry forward balance of $6,604,525. Previously, the commission had voted to reserve $1.6 million. There was a vote for another $600,000, but it never quite made it into the reserve account. So that's reflected in the carry forward balance. So that's another reason the carry forward balance is where it's at. For expenditures for the 26-27 year, Metro at $3.2 million. I still owe OPEB $223,000. And the channel licensees total ask this year is $1,811,719. So the total available cash carry forward, not including reserves, and the total recommended expenditures for all of the cable television channels that are covered by this commission is $5,272,406. If you take those numbers, it leaves a little bit of a carry forward balance into the next year of $1,332,119. I'm also going to project that next year's cable revenue will come in above $6 million. Probably between $6.2 million and $6.6 million. I'll split the difference and call it $6.4 million. Any questions about this screen? What this allows you to do, if this were approved, is yes, you're going to spend down money this year, and we'll get pretty close to carrying very little cash in our accounts. We'll all have our operating budgets fully funded. And then next year, as that revenue comes in, we can monitor it quarter over quarter, and then we can see where we land. But we should be able to fully fund this year, and we'll see what happens next year as the revenue comes in. I brought a couple of charts that I can show you if there's any questions about it, but the revenue continues to decline. There was a negative, or there was a real drop of 13% year over year. Some quarters are lower, 3%. Some quarters are higher, 5.3-ish%. That's why I'm still cautious in predicting between 15 and 25% in any given year. If we use the middle number, we come to 20%. That takes us down from what last year's was to what I'm projecting for the coming year is $6.4 million. Any questions about this screen? If not, I can jump ahead to the PEG. Okay, PEG. Again, carry forward balance, $2,407,252. Previously, the commission had voted to reserve $1.4 million. If you look at the recommended expenditures for 26-27, the re-requests are the JPA members that have projects going on right now, so all of your control rooms. Those re-requests that are still in the pipeline, and these can be very large, expensive projects, are $2,257,542. Within the commission, the recommendation is that we encumber that money, and the contracts with the JPA members reflect that encumbrance. So the way it works with the channel licensees is they get their money up front, but the JPA members do not get their money until we receive an invoice, which means after the project is complete. And some of those projects take maybe 3 fiscal cycles to clear out. Does that make sense for everybody? And what I don't want is for the JPA membership to start their projects, think we have more money than we actually have, and then they do not get reimbursed when it comes time to pay. So we encumber the money, and the commission encumbers the money, and when the invoice comes, they should expect to get paid. That's the way the contract is written with the JPA members. The JPA members can also request to start new projects. That's the $1,274,518. And then on the channel licensee side, they're requesting $689,992. That gives the total recommended expenditure of $4,222,053. You don't have the money to cover all of that right now. There is a way to get there, I think. There's 2 ways to get there. One is, never mind that one. There's one way to get there. There's one way to get there. Is I could project about $1.4 million in new money next year for the PEG budget. And so if this were approved as presented here, you would be in the red right now. But I think by the time the invoices came through and we get the quarterly payments, which should be in the 1.2 range, I'll stay with 1.2. It will mostly cover the request. So you're in a position to essentially approve all the requests, but in this category for the PEG, you're agreeing that the future revenue on PEG coming in basically goes towards these projects that are requested this year. And since it's in the red now, it is likely to continue to be in the red in future years. If you get 1.4-ish or less every year, year over year, and the requests are coming in at 4.2 million, then the gap is just going to grow larger over the years, and the commission will get to the point where there will either be a partial reimbursement, or we'll have to have some discussion with the control rooms and figure out how we're going to cover the cost of their upgrades.
Yeah, does this commission actually review the requests and the channel licensee requests that come in for the PEG funds? Or do we just take the numbers that were presented here and put them into the budget that we approve later?
For the PEG or for the general fund?
For the PEG.
For the PEG, the requests come in, and then internally, the Metro team looks at those to make sure that they are infrastructure projects. Some of you use the term capital projects. And then we have council review those also to make sure they meet the infrastructure standard. There's a definition of what that money can be used on. I know Josh has spoken on this before, but Josh, if you could just quickly summarize the standards around the PEG money.
Yeah, it has to be used for capital or equipment, essentially, and not for services or staff time.
Thank you, Director. Please.
Okay. That's pretty much it for the presentation. It's time to vote, but I have a feeling there's going to be some Q&A here. So I'm here at your disposal.
We got a few more to go before we do a vote, because we got public comment before we got that as well. So, Director Munoz, you have questions. So we'll ask questions first, and then we'll do the public comment. So.
Thank you. The PEG requests, they're included in the budget packet, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The PEG requests, they're included in the budget packet, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're essentially voting on 2 items here, but they're so interconnected with each other that you have the general fund here, and then you have the PEG here. The only entity that does not get PEG dollars is SAC Life. Their contract is written a little bit differently, and they only get we only have a contract with them, or the commission only has a contract with SAC Life for general fund dollars.
And I just want to be clear that the PEG requests are part of the public record, so everyone can see what everyone is requesting. Thank you.
Yes, and on top of that, we have a binder in our office, and if anybody ever wants to make an appointment with us and come in, we'll get an office ready for you, and we're happy to sit there and answer any specific questions you might have about any specific item. And we have that for every year going back as probably, I won't say 40 years at this point, but we have a lot of binders regarding our budget.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions from the directors before I go to public comment? All righty, then
Oh,
thank you.
sorry, I
I'm
just-
sorry? Oh, did you? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Go
trying
ahead.
to use the button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we jump ahead, I just want to understand, is this presentation that we're talking about right now the entirety of item 5 on our agenda, or is this?
In terms of the presentation, yes.
Yeah, okay. So at this point, we, the board, are supposed to be making comments or asking questions about the overall budget, correct?
So I was hoping to keep it to questions at this point,
Okay,
allow public comment so that we have their input, and then we would deliberate. That was my intention. Is that okay?
understand, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Other questions? Director Hackett-Little, please.
I just want to confirm that this particular budget as presented right now doesn't include revenues that are going to become available to committee. Are those estimates upcoming?
It does not, and that's where I think you're speaking to something. So let me answer your question first, and then I'll address what I think you're alluding to a little bit. This is only what's available right now. My projection for the next year is 6.4. If you look at the last column of the budget, it takes this money that we have essentially encumbered now and available, and then the high number includes the projection for next year, but that number is not booked.
Thank you.
And that number, again, includes the projection that that the commission could be reduced as much as 20% next year. And you can look at how much it's cost to run this year at 5,272. And if you get in 6.4 next year, you're starting to run a little bit thin with the cash that's coming in. I think that makes sense.
I'm sorry, you said 20%, correct?
That's on the high end of a reduction. The low end this year, I thought it would be at least 15. It only came in at 13%. So it could even get better than what I'm projecting. But I just want to make sure we're prepared as best as we can be for what comes next.
Understood. Thank you.
There we go. I had my mic turned off. Okay, do we have any more questions from directors? If there are none, thank you very much, Mr. Ayala. And let's open up the public comment, please. And let me see.
And we have received 16 public comments for this item.
Fantastic. Okay, and so I have a request. I will certainly give everyone the 2 minute or 3 minutes that we customarily do. I will say that sometimes if comments get too long, it is possible that we lose quorum. So I ask you to keep as concise as possible. If there is someone who you agree with before, simply say, yeah, what she said, or yeah, what that guy said, if that's what you can do. I'm trying to keep us all moving as easily down the path as I can. So with that, you're going to see that the lineup is here. If you are Thomas Spencer, please come on up. And please, if you are the next person, please cue yourself up as the previous speaker is speaking. Thank you. And so, Thomas Spencer.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can. You bet.
Oh, good. Okay.
Loud and clear, sir.
I know I could do it without the mics. Anyway, nonetheless, my name's Thomas Spencer. I'm a constituent. Thank you, Commission, for having me here today. I'm here to speak in reference, obviously, to the funding issues. My first thing I'd like to say is we're all worthy of having every penny of funds that we could desire because we do great work. However, I realize that is not life, and so we have to address things as we go through life in a very logical and reasonable way. I started filmmaking to document my family's being dairy farmers and to archive my elders' knowledge. Being a farmer, a little bit on the frugal side, so going out and spending a ton of money besides your invested in equipment money was a little tough. And so Access Sacramento has become my portal to becoming a filmmaker. They are a community asset, as I'm sure you're aware. I'm just speaking for myself. The classes are very cost effective. We work with professionals. Our equipment, as you know, is pretty darn good. And I just would love if we could have every bit of funds that we could, because of the work that we do is so important. I've seen people from underserved communities and persons not like myself who are older and mature, and so possibly in a better financial shape, who take classes. So it really, I mean, the next, I don't know, Fort Coppola is out there and actually doing work. And we have our once a year, I'm sure you're aware of, a place called Sacramento, which is really wonderful in helping to inform and educate persons about the process. So I'm just here to say that it's a wonderful thing, and we'd sure love to have every penny that we could get, because it would really help us to exist and do the good work that we do. I thank you so very much.
I turned off my microphone. Maybe I'll just leave it on. And next is Hester Wagner.
Hello. My name is Hester. I am the chair of the board for Access Sacramento. And thank you all for hearing us today and sharing information and asking questions and engaging with us. So I do want to express my appreciation for that. I'm sorry, my eyes are bad, but Hackett Little, you brought up a question that I had as well, and I wanted to just kind of dive in a little bit more about the transparency of the budget process. I have curiosity around that and the question you asked about revenue. When we submit our budget to you all, we had to include our anticipated revenues as well as our expenses. All of my knowledge around budgeting, both of those numbers are really important. So I feel like the lack of including the revenue in the slides that we just saw is a really important piece of the puzzle. Maybe it's something you all have in your packets, because I know you have a lot more information than what's on the agenda that we're seeing. But I would really just encourage you all to take that full financial picture and continue that, and include that money will be coming in as well as going out when we're looking at that, because those are how funding decisions are made. We need to be able to project and assume all of those things. So that transparency will help with the building trust process that we're all working towards right now. So I just wanted to have that on record, that I think that those are really important considerations before you all go into taking a vote today. So thank you, and hopefully we can all have a good day today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Can I ask the clerk to clarify what was provided in our agenda packets and available to the public online?
So the material that was received was the budget information that was provided, and that is currently in the packet regarding the general fund and the PEG. Further clarification?
So for all those that are in the audience, if you go to the website, there are attachments to the budget item that show a complete listing of all the fund revenues and expenditures. It's called Exhibit 1, and I would encourage you to look at that if you have questions about how those, about what information we received to deliberate on.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so this was posted last Friday. If you go to our website, or is this on AgendaNet? This is what it looks like.
AgendaNet.
Okay, thank you. Where's my speaker? How about if I give you my copy? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, so up next, Mr. Barr.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening to us. I've talked to many of you over the last few months, and I want to thank you for that, for the conversations that we've had. And for today, I don't know that there's much more to say than what you've heard from the community, from the people who are in this room, from the folks who have written emails and letters and called you in the region and around the country about the value of Access Sacramento and community media. I'm a relatively new executive director to Access Sacramento. And the only reason I am here is because I see the immense opportunity for Access Sacramento to evolve into an even more powerful and impactful community media production and workforce development partner. We are part of the creative economy. And I've talked to many of you. We've had civil, thoughtful conversations, and it seems like there are other options, other possibilities, and that's what we've been asking for in terms of moving forward and finding a middle ground, knowing that money is running out. We all know that. We know funding is going away, but we do stand ready. Access Sacramento stands ready to work with all of you on finding solutions. So the opportunity is there. So I'm just asking you, please don't cut our legs out from under us at this point. We are working towards sustainability. We're building partnerships to be that regional support system for nonprofits and for the community in terms of media production and bringing people together. These are the things that we're working towards for sustainability and support of the region. So I'm asking you, please vote for this budget as is, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barr. Mr. Lowe.
Mr. Chair and Directors, David Lowe, President and General Manager with KVIE. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I recognize that all of you face difficult budget decisions. Cable revenues continue to decline, and every jurisdiction represented here has competing priorities and financial pressures. But PEG funding was never intended to be just another revenue source for general government needs. PEG stands for Public, Education, and Government Access. For decades, this commission has recognized that all three components serve the community. Government access provides transparency into public decision-making. Public and educational access provide community storytelling, youth media training, educational programming, and local civic engagement that would not otherwise exist. The funding before you today supports those community services. It supports organizations that were created specifically to fulfill the public and educational purposes of PEG. The staff recommendation acknowledges an important principle. Declining revenue should require adaptation, but it should not require the elimination of the public and educational components of PEG. If revenues decline, we should all share in that reality together. What should not happen is a system where government access remains while public and educational access disappear. I respectfully ask you to support the staff recommendation and continue preserving a balanced PEG system that serves the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Collette.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and Commission staff. My name is Pete Coletto. I'm the Finance Director for the City of Sacramento. I and my colleagues in the member agencies have reviewed the budget, and we have a number of concerns. So while we recognize that revenues have declined and are declining, the financial impact should not be borne solely by the member agencies of the JPA, and it's not appropriate to receive zero funding in this current year and in the budget year. We have concerns about a number of the budget assumptions. So, not budgeting anticipated revenue is highly atypical. We have some questions around the supplemental OPEB payment and how that amount was come to, as well as some of the line items in the salary and benefits. We just don't understand some of those things. However, I and my colleagues are open to working with the Commission and Commission staff on developing alternate budget options that really balance the Commission's mission of providing public programming access and distributing franchise fees to the member agencies who would otherwise receive those fees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Coletto, did I get it wrong?
It's my horrible handwriting. I have the handwriting but not intelligence of a doctor. So
not a problem. Yeah. And I'm sorry, which city are you from?
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay, thank you very much. All right, and then next, Mr. Heinrich, please.
Yes, thank you. Yes, my name is Aaron Heinrich. I'm the Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium. I just want to call attention to the nearly 600 pages of emails that were part of the agenda packet. Those are 600 people that aren't here, but at least took the time to express their support for the budgets that we've all submitted. So I ask that you take those folks into account. as you consider the budgets that were submitted. Just want to make one other point. I've been in marketing a long time, and I know that 600 is probably just the tip of the iceberg. So there's probably a lot of other people out there that either didn't know to comment, but would certainly support the budgets that we've submitted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Just, please.
That's exhausting. Commissioners and audience members, I'm here to remind you why we're here. 36 years ago, someone very much like myself decided to start a TV show at a public access at Access Sacramento, and I happen to be the privilege of being the current caretaker of that institution. But it has allowed a community to talk to the community. You know, we have now grown to 11,000 registered. We have now grown to over 11,000 registered members in the county of Sacramento. And this conversation is part of that. But more importantly, it has allowed one group of people to talk to the wider community in a way that is productive. But also, it has allowed volunteers to come in, to learn, to grow, and to go out into the community as better human beings. And I, personally, have been benefited in many ways from this ecosystem that we have developed, this PEG ecosystem, right? 10 years ago, I was a shut-in. I used Access Sacramento to help rebuild myself and become a member of the community. I have told this story before. I built myself up to run for office. I now host a TV show. I now help my community do the same thing. People come to me and I help them along that same journey I took. And that's only available because of the honor that past generations have given to the community. I'll keep it short. As a community, we're either talking to each other or we're fighting. And if we look about the world today, lots of people are fighting because they don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And we can help people talk to each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Just. Ms. Falahay?
Just trying to make sure I don't trip.
We do not want that. We absolutely do not want that.
Yeah. I just want to say again, I like what you said, Mr. Spees, Chair Spees, about we're not enemies here. We're all trying to work together, and that's the whole point of community media is we're trying to work together. And really, looking around the room and seeing the people here who are supporting us, like I've seen like Alex, who's with, SECC. I've seen other people from different organizations, even a lot from ours, and new members are showing up here. So it does mean a lot. And the fact even too that we have 4 people that came from Access Sacramento who actually work here at Metro. So they learned and they grew and they were able to move on into something better and bigger. And that's something that we're here to support the community and support people. So my ask is, as for everybody, we can just have basically that off ramp instead of having to jump off a ledge, and that would help us to keep moving forward because we really are. We're cutting our budgets. We're looking at everything. We're looking at different revenue sources, contracts with folks, and we've gotten a lot more people, calling us now and coming, and it's like. To us, that means a lot because they believe in community. So I just ask that you fully support us for this budget. And I appreciate all of you here. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Falahay. Mr. Sladen?
I'm not much of a speaker, so I'll keep this pretty brief. I prepared this ahead of time. But I appreciate getting the opportunity to come up here and speak. As a local film student, Access Sacramento has given me a unique opportunity. Is it this one? It is this
both.
one.
You're good.
Okay.
Pick one.
I like this one better.
All right, let's
As
do
a
it.
local film student, Access Sacramento has given me a unique opportunity. This TV station gives members of the community not only the chance to have their voices heard, but the opportunity to begin a career in television via their volunteer programs and classes teaching the community how to use a camera, edit videos, and much more. Removing Access Sacramento from the air would make it much harder for Sacramento locals to tell the stories they want to tell. Please approve the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 budget as is and fully fund Access Sacramento. Access Sacramento provides vital media training, local programming, civic information, and community storytelling for Sacramento County. This funding is essential to preserving and strengthening that work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sladen. Ms. Tomlin. All right, we got you in the right one.
Hey, I'm going to make it.
Yes.
I'm here.
I won't stop you.
Again, my name is Ella Tomlin. I am actually here representing my son. He is currently in the middle of his graduation practice from El Camino High School, and he really wanted to be here. About 3 years ago, Will started taking classes at Access, and it's become his family, and by extension, part of our family. He has taken every class that's been available. He is also a proud recipient of a gift of a new heart because he had a transplant about 2 years ago. And the team, the family at Access before the transplant, during and after, has welcomed him in. And up until the budget cuts last year, he was so excited that when he turned 16, maybe he could get a job there. And then the budget cuts came, and he knew that he needed to double down and start working in a way to be able to still tell his stories. And I just wanted to share that it is such a vital part of this community. I had prepared remarks, but I really want to share that there is not another place that you can, as a teenager or a young person or of any age, with low threshold of cost, to jump into a possibility of a future. He has now been accepted to Sac State in the honors program. He plans to pursue political science and journalism. He just took part of Maggie Krell, our Assemblywoman's Young Legislators program, and a lot of where he is and his determination to get through his heart condition was part of this experience with Access Sacramento. So I just want to kind of tell you a personal story. We've got a lot of people in the community here coming out and telling their perspectives, but it really, truly does change lives. And it has put him on a trajectory to really be a contributing person in society. He plans to advocate for public policy and use all of those skills, and plans to work at the Capitol, and that's his plan. And these people behind us with Access have been cheering him on every step of the way. And I just wanted to kind of share that. And again, I'm here for Will Tomlin and telling his story. And I just want to thank you for really considering every person that's affected by this budget and what this organization has truly meant to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tomlin. Next is Ms. Dredge, please.
Thank you, Commission, for hearing this audience today. It's really exciting to be a part of this group and to hear from the community. I'm Renee Balcom, and I am a local business owner. I'm one of 145,000 local business owners in Sacramento. And I'm here to talk to you about Sac Life, or Sac Life TV. Recently I've had an opportunity to go into their channel and do some work in their podcast work and really be able to promote the work that I do, which is professional healthcare advocacy. And I specifically work with people with behavioral health and cognitive impairment, my company does. And we had a great response to the work that we did with Sac Life TV. So I wanted to come forward, talk about that experience, and talk about, as a problem solver, because that's what we all are, right, about the fact that this media can really be used by the remainder 145,000 small business owners in Sacramento to promote their businesses, to be a part of a media solution. And I just really want to implore you to think about that and think think about the opportunity for the development of Sacramento. I know we've got a big business development campaign going on in Sacramento and the surrounding counties. And I think that we, as you analyze your budget, and we all have budgets, you know, we've been living by those our whole lives, it's important to look at that and look at the bigger opportunity, because we really, really have a great opportunity here with this media. And today, I think promoting Sacramento and the various programs that we have, especially through Sac Life TV, I'm very excited about the fact that they've opened up this channel for small businesses to come in and work with them. And I just want to, you know, I wanted to come and talk about that and have you just kind of broaden your perspective and think about it from the other side of the budget. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Balcom. Mr. Dredge.
Hi there.
Apparently, I got it a little confused earlier. My apologies.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Apparently, I got it a little bit confused earlier. It's kind of difficult to keep all the plates spinning at once, so I guess I messed up.
I hear that. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Commissioners. And just the group behind and the things that are said is just so encouraging. I just love it. Forward momentum. My name is Kevin Dredge. I am an independent producer, longtime Access Sacramento volunteer, Lions Club member, and community advocate. I am here today because community media changed my life. Through Access Sacramento, I learned television production, radio broadcasting, live event coverage, and public engagement skills that continue to support my work serving youth, families, veterans, community organizations throughout our region. Community media is more than equipment and facilities. It is education, civic participation, workforce development, and local storytelling. It provides opportunities for people whose voices might not otherwise be heard. Before any additional funding reductions are considered, I respectfully ask that there be a transparent public discussion, a review of alternatives, and meaningful community input. The investment made in community media continues to create volunteers, leaders, producers, and informed citizens throughout Sacramento County. Thank you for your time, your service, and the opportunity to be heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dredge. Ms. Winton.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Winton, and I'm here also on behalf of Access Sacramento. I'm a filmmaker. I participated in the Place Called Sacramento program, and I'm just going to echo everybody else that's spoken in favor of Access Sacramento. But I do want to add that as a viewer, you know, because I watch it also, I feel like I can watch things that I wouldn't see on, you know, the broadcast network, sports, and community events. So keep in mind people that actually watch it as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Winton. Ms. Busk. Did I get it right? Is it Busk or Busky? Busky?
Busky.
Oh, my apologies, Ms. Busky. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sue Busky. I'm here sort of wearing several hats. I'm a newly appointed board member for Access Sacramento. I'm also a person who, for the last 50 years, has worked with local governments and community media centers all across the country, not only here in California, but in Massachusetts, New York, et cetera. First of all, I want to say ditto, support the budget, support community media, support the public education and government access activities that are going on here in Sacramento. They're important. They've contributed greatly over the last 40 years, in fact. I mean, Access Sacramento was incorporated in, I believe, 1985 or 86. Been around a long time, as has SECC. These organizations provide vital services. I don't need to tell you any more about it. You've already heard a lot, and you've got hundreds of letters and emails about it. There's two other things I want to sort of highlight, and Chair Spees, it's sort of following up on your comments. I think there's a real opportunity here to do some real community collaboration around the work of this commission, around the future of the commission, around how we can take those dollars that are coming in from the cable operators and use them efficiently in a collaborative fashion to be more cost efficient. Okay, and so I want to support Mr. Collette's comments from the city of Sacramento. I think there's some good ideas that came forth in some of his observations and willingness to volunteer as a member of one of the member agencies of this commission to work together. I also think that there's a couple other areas that we can do a lot more collaboration. There's a lot of really innovative things that have been done over the last 30 or 40 years about bringing the P, E, and G together and working together, having more cost efficiency about use of equipment and facilities, et cetera. Access Sacramento does things that Metro 14 doesn't. It has resources about a truck that Metro 14 doesn't. Maybe the cities would like to have that truck used to produce events, 4th of July parades, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, Metro 14 may have resources that could be really valuable to Access Sacramento. And as you can begin to see, there are ways that we could all look at creating a collaborative environment. So I think it's a great idea if also we can take a look at creating some of an ad hoc committee or a working group over the next year to look at some of these things. I think they may be useful and everybody may benefit as an outcome. So that's what I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Buskey. Ms. Hall.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I'm Narasa. I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Operations for Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium. Over the past 9 months or a year, we have spent a great deal of time discussing budgets, funding projection, the future of public and educational access. We've heard from educators, students, community members, and organizations that provide the services. The financial considerations have been discussed. The policy implications have been debated. The community has made it clear, really, how much these services matter. What remains now, I believe, is a question of leadership. What kind of PEG system do we want Sacramento to have going forward? We understand that change is happening, technology is evolving, audience behaviors are evolving, and the revenue models are evolving right along with them. So the question is not whether change is coming. The question is whether we will lead through it intentionally. Because ultimately, this conversation isn't just about funding, it's about leadership and stewardship. It's about the kind of PEG system that we want Sacramento to have moving forward. PEG entities were never intended to be three competing interests: public, education, government access. They serve different purposes, but together they create a public benefit that is greater than the sum of their individual parts. When we talk about educational access, we're talking about media literacy, workforce development, educator support, storytelling, and opportunities that give young people leadership and communication skills. These programs and partnerships are the result of years of investment, of relationship building, and community trust. Thoughtful leadership creates the sustainability that allows for those opportunities to continue, grow, and to serve future generations. As leaders, each of you has the responsibility to think about not only today's budget decision, but about the long-term systems that those decisions shape. Because ultimately, this is not simply a budget decision, it's a stewardship decision. And your leadership will be measured not only by how you respond to change, but by what you choose to preserve while navigating it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Mr. Guzman?
That's really cool. Good afternoon. Thank you for this chance to speak. I'm here in support of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium as well as Access Sacramento. To make a long story short, I began my own storytelling journey as a 16-year-old with high ambition but no confidence to take action. But it was through my high school journalism class that I not only learned the skills needed to make videos, but also the joys of creating them. And what followed was a strength and ability to know myself, uplift my community, and take chances both professionally and personally, which has allowed me to achieve things I would have never thought possible, including making films, creating social media content, and publishing a book, all in an effort to inspire the people around me. But I wouldn't be saying any of this without the generosity and welcoming nature of the organizations I represent today. Not only do they provide the necessary equipment and literacy to tell stories, they also uplift unheard voices. I've seen with my own eyes how such events as the SEAV Awards and the place called Sacramento Screenwriting Contest have transformed shy students and independent filmmakers of all ages into award-winning, impactful storytellers. And that's because visual storytelling is so much more than just a series of images that entertain or inform people. It's an extension of how a human can impact another human. It represents what a person is capable of, and it's a language that allows people to have their voices heard when they have no other way to do so, especially in this age of social media, in which storytelling has never played a more significant role in our everyday lives, because when we connect, we thrive. So I ask once more for the continued funding and support of these organizations. They do so much more than build connections in our communities and uplift the next generation of great storytellers. They grant countless opportunities to the creators to win the ultimate prize of storytelling, which is leaving an impact on the world. Thank you for your time, and I hope you take this into consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guzman. Jamal?
Hello and good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and members. My name is Jamal, and I am speaking today on behalf on Pahno Media and Afghan community in Sacramento. Access Sacramento has been much more than a media organization for us. It has been a real bridge into this community. It has given me and many others the tools, training, and space to learn, create, and share our stories. Through these opportunities, we have been able to tell stories that were not being told before. We have been able to give voice to immigrants, families, young people, and community members who want to be part of the public conversation. For many of us, this is not just about classes or equipment. It is about inclusion, learning, and becoming part of the wider Sacramento community. It has helped us grow not only as a media creators, but also as active and engaged citizens. That is why Access Sacramento matters. It is a place where people learn, connect, and build something meaningful together. I respectfully ask you to consider the real human impact of this program when making your budget decision today. Because what is at stake is not only funding, but also opportunity and community wise. Thank you for your time and listening.
Thank you very much, Jamal. I appreciate you. Okay, so with that, I see no more speakers signed up.
That concludes our public comments.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will close the public comment. All right. So we have some discussion to do. Feel free to request to speak, but I do ask that you that we have a moment of reflection here. And I've had an opportunity. I'll exercise the chair's privilege to go first in this, in hopes that this helps to streamline things. Over the last few weeks, I've had a number of conversations with channel licensees. I would love to say that it was fun, but I wouldn't want to lie to you. But what they were was frank and open and honest, and that's appreciative. Or excuse me, it's appreciated. I've also had the opportunity to hear from a number of member agencies who were, frankly, very unhappy too. And so I do want to thank Mr. Coletto for being here today, as well as Raj Prasad from the city of Elk Grove. I have, because of the Brown Act, I want you to know that I have had a number of conversations with channel licensees, with legal, with our executive director, with many people, but not this board widely, and you understand why. I say that only because I feel as though I have achieved a bit of consensus on a plan forward, and so I'd like to bring that up with you and hope that you agree. And then I'll open it up for wider comment. Okay, so I don't believe that we have to choose between approving a budget and asking hard questions. I think that can both happen. We can responsibly do both. We can approve the budget to keep operations moving and then engage our financial professionals and stakeholders to validate our assumptions and develop a sustainable long-term strategy for Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission. So with that, I have 4 general steps. The first step that I ask is to adopt the FY budget as drafted to ensure the continuity of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission while initiating a structured review process. That's the first step. The second step is to establish a finance working group. I would like to convene a voluntary finance working group comprised of the SMCTC Executive Director and finance staff from any interested member agencies. I know Elk Grove has signed up to do so. Mr. Coletto, I heard that you are there. I have heard that a number of other member agencies are open to being there, and that is appreciated and welcomed. Topics to analyze include, but are not limited to, operating surplus and member agency contributions, franchise fee revenue assumptions, salary and benefit increases, and OPEB and PERS contribution. That is not inclusive. There can be more, but those are ones that I have heard from member agencies, from franchisees, and I think that to poke at assumptions and to say, okay, what can we clear this up? What does this look like? Right? That is what we should be doing. So the purpose of this working group. And keep in mind, this is a working group. I'll get to the ad hoc in a second here, but the purpose of the working group is to provide technical financial analysis by reviewing the budget assumptions, identifying potential efficiencies, and validating the long-term sustainability of the current financial model. The working group will serve as an advisory capacity and will provide its findings to the existing budget ad hoc committee. There is currently a budget ad hoc committee, correct? Okay. So, step 3, budget ad hoc committee review. The existing budget ad hoc committee will review the findings of the working group, the findings and recommendations of the finance working group, and present any recommended budget amendments or policy adjustments to the full commission for consideration at the September 3rd, 2026 commission meeting. So that's 90 days from now, after the working group has done their work. The ad hoc, the existing budget ad hoc will take those observations, recommendations, and they will come back with potential budget amendments. I want to put a pin right there because I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Just remember there's a pin. Step 3, we need to establish a strategic ad hoc committee, and that would create a strategic ad hoc committee to evaluate the long-term operating model for the commission. Using the financial analysis developed by the finance working group, the recommendations of the budget ad hoc committee, and input from the channel licensees and other stakeholders, the strategic ad hoc committee will review and provide recommendations regarding the current revenue sharing methodology, the governance and management structure, long-term financial sustainability, and the long-term future strategic direction of Metro 14 operations. The strategic ad hoc committee will return its recommendations to the full commission for consideration and action at the March 4th, 2027 commission meeting. So that gives 270 days from today, but allows the working group and the budget ad hoc to conclude their work, okay? That way, this committee, this strategic ad hoc committee, will be fully informed, okay? All right, remember I said a pin. This finance and working group and budget ad hoc committee are being established with the expectation that all aspects of the current budget may be reviewed, and if appropriate, recommendations for amendment may be brought forward to the commission. Accordingly, member agencies, channel licensees, and other stakeholders should recognize that the review process may result in proposed modifications to the budget category, including channel licensee distributions. Participants are encouraged to exercise appropriate restraint and avoid making significant financial commitments or operational assumptions based solely on the initially adopted budget until the review process is complete. I believe that this approach allows the Commission to maintain uninterrupted operations while conducting a thoughtful, transparent, and data-driven review of SMCTC's financial structure and the long-term strategic direction. I'm happy to share this with anybody who wants it afterwards. It obviously is a point of record. I have speakers signed up. Member Riley, you are first up.
Chair, I apologize. Before we get started, just a clarification on the budget ad hoc.
Yes.
Under the Brown Act, those ad hoc committees are limited in scope and duration. And so the budget ad hoc for last fiscal year has technically sunsetted. And we'd want the Commission to form a new budget ad hoc if they're comfortable with your direction. And that new budget ad hoc could be the same participants, but it is important under the Brown Act that it's a new ad hoc.
And I believe we probably lost some members of that ad hoc committee along the way anyway. So perfect.
Sure. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mr. Nelson. And so, Director Riley.
Yes, thanks, Chair Spees. Appreciate it, and appreciate all the time you've taken both to meet with all our external and internal partners and thought you put into it. I'm in support of the motion. I would also be interested, particularly in serving in the strategic ad hoc committee, and I'm also open to serving in the budget ad hoc committee as well. And so I don't know if I'm guessing we're going to make those decisions today, but I will put that interest out there and just say I'm in the support of the motion.
Thank you very much, Director Riley. I appreciate it. Next, Director Sloan.
I don't know if that was official second to his motion.
I was going to let other folks speak first, but yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. I also support the motion, and I'd like to make some comments in addition to volunteering to serve on both of those bodies. I think it's a very strange time that we find ourselves in, where not just this body has to reflect on its business model and sustainability, but we see it across all forms of media. I have a high value for making sure that we continue to have access to public television so that we aren't inadvertently, in a changing media environment, silencing the community. I also personally have a very high priority and value for making sure that the public has access to its public meetings. I don't think those are mutually exclusive, even though it may have felt that way over the past year in our discussions. I think it's very critical that we preserve optimism as we face unprecedented challenges fiscally. We have to consider new thinking to a viewing pattern that I'm not sure any of us anticipated would be here so quickly when we were sitting at home streaming everything available during COVID and the pandemic. Like many corporate media entities, the structure that we have of our current business model may not meet our future needs. There's a lot in it that is not specific to the operation questions that have come up in the past year. I'm hopeful that we will be able to address some of those in the working groups. I would like to just remind everyone that the jurisdictions that are present on this commission, these are individual members, but they represent bodies. We are here, at least from the county, as alternates to our elected supervisors. Each of those jurisdictions, including the county, have resources and expertise to bring to this conversation. I want to mention that our Deputy County Executive, Sylvester Fidal, and our Chief Fiscal Officer, Amanda Thomas, have offered their expertise and participation to bring any assistance that we can to this conversation because, again, we're going to have to be creative as we think of a way to continue to provide both public access to broadcasting, but also public access to public meetings in a way where we have a cost recovery model, because these are public dollars and we're accountable to the public. So I appreciate everybody's comments here. I do feel like there was a new air to the participation. There's lots of challenges we have to face that go nowhere when we perceive that resolving my challenge is coming at the expense of your challenge or anyone else's challenge. So coming together, I'm going to say let's all remain optimistic that we can find solutions that will meet all of our challenges together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Sloan. Director Hackett-Little.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to echo my colleagues and also appreciate the thoughtfulness of this proposal as well, as far as the importance of transparency and collaboration in this process, and frankly happy that we are moving forward to this point right now as a team. I also want to note I am supportive of the motion as you have presented it today. I also also want to volunteer for both the budget ad hoc and the strategic ad hoc committee and want to voice that as well. But do have a question for council in terms of the amount of members that can be a part of each of these particular ad hoc committees, and can members serve on both of those committees?
Yeah, thank you. To answer the first question, the maximum number for each would be 6. It ensures less than a quorum of this full commission. And as far as overlap, yes. And if we end up with overlap where we have 7 different members represented on both committees, we'll want to be very thoughtful in conversations between those 2 committees so we don't end up with a serial meeting if there are members serving on budget and strategic and those conversations overlap. So that would be something you would need to manage with committee members and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. And that's all the questions I have.
Thank you very much, Director Hackett-Little. Director Gull, please.
Thank you. Chair Spees, thank you. The proposal to kind of take this to next steps with the ad hoc committees and suggestions is well received. I think that's something this commission really needs to do. After all the discussions we've had with channel licensees and our finance directors, I do have a follow-up question. I'm sorry, to finish that point, that we are doing things inclusive and trying to come to a mutual solution. Regarding the proposed budget, the general fund budget, I'm finding in here something that shows a $13 million total that includes carryover plus revenues, but I don't see that in the one of the item exhibits.
I agree that it's confusing to look at, and I apologize for that. If I could find a way to simplify that, I would. What it accounts for is what I expect to be projected income next year and for what you have carry forward available today. Hypothetically, if the budget was approved today, that 13 going forward would essentially be cut in half. Not quite in half, because I think the proposal today is around 5.2, 5.3 million. So you would take that off of 13 million to start with.
Right. So
and then you would have a little bit of cash left, and then I'm gonna project the 6.4, and that would be your budget plus carry forward for next year.
My preference would be that we see this with sort of a surplus or deficit with the complete picture, including the the revenue that we expect to receive in the budget that we're approving today. It's really hard to get a complete picture when the graphic that we're trying to look at doesn't include all of the information. With there being a potential essentially surplus to the budget that we're approving, including the funding request of the channel licensees, what does that potentially mean for distributions back to member agencies?
So with my plan, my expectation is that any corrections that we would have would be brought forward to the budget ad hoc committee. The budget ad hoc committee would present it at, what was that date? September 3rd, 2026 for a budget amendment.
So in approving this budget potentially today, we're not excluding the potential that there could be a member agency distribution in the future, correct?
Correct. It certainly leaves open the possibility that it could be.
That's very important.
Yeah, I think what's important to note is that, I mean, this is legal, moral, ethical. I think it is the right thing to do, but it doesn't make everybody happy, and I think there's an opportunity to improve it, right? So I would definitely suggest that, or I would definitely expect that there will be amendments to it.
Perfect. I would like to volunteer for the strategic ad hoc committee, and yeah, just looking at the budget part, too many committees is going to be hard. I'll do strategic.
All right.
Thank you. That's my comment.
You don't have a couple extra hours at night to do it?
Please don't do that to me.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Director. I'm sorry.
I think Commissioner Gold is bringing up an important point. This is preliminary, and final would be in September, and I think the chair's timeline reflects that. And to speak to the points that you're getting to, we will come back in September and continue the conversation. But that'll be final in September, but you can always amend quarter over quarter as the information comes in.
Thank you. And reflecting back on the past budget cycle that we just sort of finalized this past March, really the final budget didn't get approved until 3 months ago, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
And that was highly abnormal given the sort of unique circumstances we had faced last year. Historically, the process has always been, consistent with the JPA agreement, approve the initial budget in June and the final August, September.
Okay. And the challenge there was, as the money was coming in, we were able to continue to make payments, and you were able to vote for 100% of full quarters for those 3 quarters, but it was based upon that additional revenue coming in. So that's gotten us to this point where we're going to have this more detailed conversation.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gull. Next up, we have Director Hedges, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the thought and care you put into trying to find a middle ground here. I could tell when you were talking the size of relief on my board members, and the nods were very indicative of that. So very much appreciated for me as well. On the aspect of the committees, since I'm getting a very good sense of where this vote's going, I served on the budget. Be happy to serve on that again. But in terms of the composition of them, how are they selected? Is that a chair's prerogative? Is that voted on by this board?
I believe it's a consensus. We can't vote, but I think it's a consensus issue. So I think once we knock out all of the comments, I think we'll go back to, hopefully somebody's keeping a little hash mark on who's signed up. Thank you very much. Okay. That way we can find out if we have too many and where people can go. But we'll come back onto that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Hedges. Director Munoz.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here, who came to give public comment, who sent public comments in writing, members of the board who I know have spent many hours reviewing, talking to staff, and going over the budget. We've all spent lots of time on it, and then we've been very careful to consider all of the competing interests. Thank you, Chairperson, for the very thoughtful motion that you've put forward. I do feel better about the outcome and how to a plan to move forward, and I really am thankful for that. I'm also thankful to the Metro staff for putting everything together for our consideration. I know they do really good work, and they work very hard for all of the licensees and member agencies and the members of this commission. And I'd also like to throw my name into the arena for the ad hoc and the strategic, but if you find that you have enough members, I'm okay with not being on it. So
okay.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Munoz. Director McCarthy Olmsted, please.
I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who spoke. I think this meeting versus some of the past ones, that everyone's on the same page and recognizes some of the fiscal uncertainty that everyone is facing here. And I want to thank the chair for your thoughtful meetings with everybody and for coming forward with a motion. I am supportive of the motion, and would like to offer for the strategic committee, if you need somebody, I'm happy to help with that one. Not the budget, given the timeline, but happy to help.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Director McCarthy-Olmsted. Director Macias-Reed, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this is my first meeting. So
welcome,
hello,
by the way.
Hello. Good. Almost. Well, I guess not yet. Good evening. Yeah. Thank you, Chair, for the proposal. I think it was really thoughtful. And as we had, as I was doing my research to prepare for this meeting tonight, and also as I was listening to the comments, so thank you everyone for coming out and speaking. I was really noticing a common theme, which was, let's engage in some discussions, working groups, let's work together. And that was really the proposal that you brought forward tonight. So I really appreciate that. And I definitely support the motion that's brought forward tonight. And as a new commission member, I would more than be happy to serve on the strategic ad hoc committee if there is space for it. Also, just to get some more experience and background on the commission itself. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Director Macias-Reed. And next, we have signed up Director Sandhu.
Thank you, Chair Kevin Spees. Thank you for your proposal to this agenda item, and thank you for the staff. Give us a clean report, and I also like to thank you every public comment. This public comment is very important for elected official, and when we need, we go to your guys' door and knock the door, and now the time to listen to you. And I also like to make a comment on the media. Media is very important for the public. Media, you learn a lot of things from the media. And the other thing about the ad hoc committee, if there have enough new member, I just put me on the bottom. I maybe not have that much time, but I just want to make sure every meeting be transparent with the public. That's the most important thing, because this is a budget crunch. We all know that if there is a revenue versus there is expense, we have to make a budget. We have to make a difficult decision. But I just want to make sure, be transparent with the public. If there is another extra meeting, I will recommend to the staff. And thank you very much. Thank you for Kevin. And I'm agree with you with your proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Sandhu. Vice Chair Middleton.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you also for a very strong recommendation and proposal. I didn't know if we would ever get there. As you all know, I've been elected since 2018, and my first meeting was actually a meeting about this very topic, and it was very disheartening to see that we're still gimping along with this. I would, Chair, really would like to, if not myself, then maybe my finance person from the City of Citrus Heights to sit on the strategic committee. So we have a great way in our city of looking at our budgets and our numbers and balancing them and making sure that we can find efficiencies. I think that that'll be a good place for us to kind of help push this along.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Director Gohl.
I just wanted to quickly acknowledge regarding the PEG funding, and Sue, your comments were very well received. I think that efficiencies and looking at ways to consolidate some of our efforts might be one of the things that we look at going into these strategic ad hoc committees. I just wanted to call that out and say thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Director Gohl. Director Leary.
Thank you. This has really been difficult to follow. This is actually, I think today is the anniversary of my first meeting here. And I'm still wading through all the complexities. But I really, I think there's the value, of the productions by the various channel licensees is extremely important for the community. And I really appreciated all of the everything that I've participated in or been able to experience that has been produced by them in our community. I think it's a great way to tie various communities in our region together to have these available. What I think is really concerning is that we see this dwindling budget, and that's what we've been talking about, and the tug of war that's taken place between the JPA members and the licensees and the grant or the PEG grant fund recipients. And I do want to express that at least the city of Folsom was very disappointed to hear that some of the funding would be pulled back, or all of the funding would be pulled back as it is currently. So one of my questions is do you anticipate, having put this plan together, which I really admire the thoughtfulness that went into it, what kind of a message we can take back to our jurisdictions?
So I would suggest that the message that we bring back is that we have a working group that is challenging budget assumptions, right? And they are very welcome to participate, welcome and encouraged to participate, and that we do expect that there will be at least some sort. I can't predict, but I would expect that there will be some sort of budget amendment in September, and so I would encourage their participation in the work group.
Yeah, no, I would encourage that as well. But thank you for that answer. And you did express some caution
Yes.
to all of the licensees on how they develop a budget based on these numbers, because a number of them have received increases, whereas at the last meeting we decreased the fourth quarter
Correct.
Income for them. So I'm not sure how they will plan to wade through that and what expectations they're going to be able to make by September.
Right, and that's why there's the matter of expediency, right? We've got a meeting in 3 months, right? And actually, I'd had a conversation with Director Dickinson, who's unable to be here today, but I had originally suggested 6 months, and he had suggested, how about we do a 3 month and then do a strategic following that. And so, his input in the phasing, I think, helps to resolve that issue and address the issue of immediacy. So.
Okay, well, thank you again for all of your work on this, and for all of the licensees who came in and expressed your wishes that you continue. I think we still have the challenge in the long run that we're going to be pulling back on all of the distributions.
Right.
And I hope that we have some sort of an answer by September about how that's going to look, or if there's a time frame that
that's the goal.
could look at.
That's the goal. The goal of the work group is to challenge the underlying assumptions, come up with budget recommendations, provide it to the ad hoc to consider, and then make a recommendation to this greater board September 3rd. That is exactly what we're intending to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Director Leary. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. I guess we can close that up and then resolve the ad hoc, or?
Yeah, if you'd like, Chair, yes.
Let's go for a vote then, please.
And that item passes with all members present voting yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so then we have the issue of the ad hoc. Please, Mr. Nelson, can you help us crunch the numbers a bit?
Sure. And Chair, would you like to participate in both ad hocs? I didn't have your, or either ad hoc.
Why not? Sounds like a great time. My concern is bumping people out, because I know everybody's chomping at the bit, because it sounds like a great way to spend the summer.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure we had everyone, because we will have that issue on strategic, but for budget, if I have it correctly, and please correct me if I have you down incorrectly or if I missed you. For budget, I have directors Riley, Sloan, Hackett, Little, Hedges, Munoz, and Spees. Anyone I missed? All right, so that's 6.
I think you might have missed.
Well, if we have enough for that one, I'm fine, because it sounds like we have a lot, and we have some issue with crossover. So I'm fine dropping out of that one, and I would like to stick with the strategic ad hoc, because I don't think we need a full 6.
I don't think so. But
Okay. And then strategic, and again, if I please correct me if I misstated anyone. I had directors Riley, Sloan, Hackett, Little, Gull, Munoz, McCarthy, Olmsted, Macias, Reed, Middleton, and Spees.
That's correct, but I don't need to be on both. I can just be on the budget. Thank you.
And I don't need to be on one because, our good chair here is going to do both. That's great.
Hey, it's going to be yours next year.
I'm happy to withdraw volunteering for the strategic. I'd like to be on the budget, though.
Thank you. And that brings us down to 6 then. And just to read it again, just
so
to make sure I
if
have
you
it
just
correct.
read it out, please. For
Speece, Riley, Sloan, Gull, McCarthy, Olmsted, Macias, Reed.
That's for strategic.
For strategic.
Perfect. Okay. Yes, please.
Was there any, other than the chair, was there any crossover between the two ad hocs? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sloan.
I guess I'm not going to talk to you for 270 days.
And what I would anticipate, just from the staff's perspective, we'll try to tee up non-budget issues for the strategic so you can get started, and then once the budget process is over, we can tackle that piece of the puzzle.
Okay. Fantastic. So we have way more of the meeting to go, but this is an important point of inflection, and I want to say thank you very, very much to everyone in the room. Thank you very much to the folks who have called and written emails, and I mean there was videos that I was provided, and I want to recognize everybody for that, and I definitely want to thank this commission for the support for this path forward. I think, again, we are facing a common problem, and that is declining revenue. That the rate at which is up for debate, right? But I'm very, very proud and very glad to be in a room where we can all speak respectfully about our problem and try to solve it together. So I thank everyone for that. So we will consider that item taken care of, and the clerk will call the next item.
Item number 6 is receive and file reports of channel licensees.
Okay, and so first up, we have Access Sacramento.
Hello again. I just want to say thank you for your vote today, and thank you for listening. In my time in community media, I've been to 4 cable commission meetings, and gosh darn it, this is the best one. So thank you. The last 9 months have been challenging for everyone involved. I think we all know that. And I say 9 months. For the licensees, our journey began last September in this. But during that time, 2 things were confirmed for me. First, community media is a voice that should not and cannot be silenced. And the response from people across this region and around the country made that clear. And second, communication and collaboration are simple concepts, but they are the work of leadership. And that word has been mentioned a few times today. Listening first, seeking to understand, and talking through problems. That's how trust is built and how difficult issues get solved. And over the past 9 months, many of the issues between the licensees and the commission likely could have been addressed, and in some cases avoided entirely through earlier, clearer, and more consistent dialogue. But I want to acknowledge where we are today, and the environment is changing for the better. The tone is changing for the better. Recent conversations have been constructive, and today's vote gives Access Sacramento and the other licensees essential time to continue building into self-sustaining organizations as the funding from cable franchise money diminishes. I want to thank the commissioners and elected officials who engaged with us over the past several months in the spirit of finding solutions. And I also want to thank Chair Speece for his leadership in setting the tone of communication and collaboration and creating a process for us all to work together. I think that has been so needed, and I'm so glad that we're going down that path. I want to thank our fellow licensees, SECC, SacLife TV, and KVIE. We have been through a lot together, more than any of us probably would have chosen. But we are now working together in many ways that would not have happened before. And the future of community media will require partnership, and we are a great team. But I really, most of all, want to thank the Access Sacramento team, because through all of this uncertainty, they stayed focused on the mission of our organization. They kept serving the community. They kept training people, producing programs, supporting local voices, and showing up every day. And they are true public servants, and I'm very proud to work with them, and many are here today. So thank you to the Access Sacramento team. Access Sacramento is evolving into a 21st century community media production and workforce development partner for the region. We're working with nonprofits, civic groups, public agencies, and residents to help tell important local stories while also creating practical pathways into media, film production, and the creative economy. And I just want to show you a little video that we have produced.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. First thing I'd like to announce to the commissioners is the fact that the Sacramento Community Cable Foundation has established a new doing business as name, shortened ourselves to Access Sacramento.
Hi, I'm Amy Goodman. For more than 2 decades, Democracy Now! Has aired on Access Sacramento, part of a vital tradition of independent community media. Access Sacramento is where media meets opportunity. It provides hands-on training in video production, podcasting, and filmmaking, practical skills that open doors to careers and creative work.
If it weren't for Access, I would not know all these really awesome actors and crew people. And
Would you have even made a film?
no, as much as I've wanted to for years, I would not have. So it was because of Access, because of a place called Sacramento, I was able to make a film.
It's a place where people learn by doing, where emerging journalists, filmmakers, and producers get their start, and where communities share stories that might not be told anywhere else. Access Sacramento helps build a more informed, connected, and creative region. Its mission is simple: lifting local voices and strengthening community connection. Please support independent community media. Support Access Sacramento.
Your vote today is helping to support all of that work, all the people that you saw there whose lives have been, are being, and will be impacted by the work of Access Sacramento. So today's vote is not the end of a conversation, it's the beginning of a better one. And we're grateful for your support. We stand ready to continue the work and taking a look at budget numbers and how to evolve the commission and all the work that we're doing, and to work with you to solve the problems ahead. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barr. Next, we have PBS KVIE.
In the interest of time, I will just say thank you so much for supporting the budget as it was presented, and we will look forward to continuing to provide the best service we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right, next is Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium.
I debated doing the same thing that David did, but I actually have more to say. So thank you, everybody, for your support and your vote on this budget. On behalf of the 100-some media educators, the school districts, the thousands of students that benefit from what we do, I want to thank you on their behalf. I want to be clear, too, about what this means to us in terms of what we're going to be doing, continuing to do going forward. It mostly buys us time. It's time to continue supporting those educators and their students, but also to continue the work we're doing to be self-sufficient. So this includes grants. We have proposals out to multiple organizations for several different programs. 2 I want to highlight. One is working with the Florin High School Culinary Program to create a kid-fronted, hosted cooking show. So this would be a multi-part series that we would work with them on. We've already gotten partnership agreements with them to do so, and we're looking at partnering with SMUD, who's already expressed an interest in this. The second is a documentary about the history of education in this area focused on Center Unified School District. They are, believe it or not, the second oldest school district in the state. Not this area, but the entire state. That means that families like the Fittymans, the Kirbys, the Shellhouses all have ties to that district. It would help tell their stories, capture the oral histories that still remain from family members that still are around, and would also help include the role of immigrants and Native Americans as what they had in the growth of this area. We've also started looking at paid production services. We've completed or near completion 3. We did our second live-streamed esports tournament. That was for San Juan Unified School District a couple of weeks ago. We just finished a multi-session annual meeting for a group called CASQUA. That's a professional group that works with child welfare in public schools. And we are finishing up a 5-part series on the history of adult education in California. We also submitted bids to a couple of other organizations, one of which is Junior Achievement, which is doing their upcoming Entrepreneur Summit. We also are going to be starting an after-school media production program. We have at least one school already on board. That's the High School for Healthcare Careers, and we're doing that in conjunction with Futures Explored, which is fronted by Heather. There we go. Anyway, also media production camps. We're also working with at least one school district to launch this either this summer or next. We're working on a video training series that will fill the gaps for what media educators actually know and what they wish they knew. So those are all things that are just now getting started. These are all things starting from scratch. But what this does is it gives us the time to continue to build these out and to secure even more work as we continue to move forward. Others are still in progress. Those that have been completed at least gets us in the right direction. So one more year of being fully funded gets us on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And last up, Sacramento Life TV.
Geez, I barely made it down. My legs fell asleep up there. Board members, chair, executive director, thank you again for the work that you've done and forward with this. As you know, I'm kind of forward speaking and say what's on my mind.
All good.
So, hey, that opening statement you made about us all being friends in this room, I think everybody in this room knows that that is important. My report is not much different than the last report we have. As we know, you've given us now this runway to make it to the end. It allows us, you don't know how important that was to us, to give us a little bit more funding to continue building that library that I mentioned last meeting that we need. Our Powerhouse podcast is up to 60, I believe, episodes right now, and we've covered everything in Sacramento that deals with our community, with our politics, with our fire department, our police department, anything that you can think of subject of, we're covering on that, and we've asked the public to help us engage with us and give us some ideas. Renee, as you mentioned, as it came up here earlier, she came on and she's an expert on mental health, so that was one of the subject matters we had there. As you know, we're working on that capital cold case. It's taking a little while to get that through because of the scheduling issues with the law enforcement, but all of them are engaged. We have one in the can, 3 scheduled for this next 2 months, and then 7 ready to go after that. So that's very exciting that we have that going on. This whole experience the last 6 months has really done something, I think, special in a positive way. It's the PEG station licensees, myself, Joe, Aaron, Sue, Dave, we never really worked together. We were all separate entities doing our own thing, and this has given us an opportunity to get together and get into the ditches and see what each of us do and how each of us literally support each other and didn't even know how we were doing that. I mean, I've got my two, between Aaron and Joe, you know, they're teaching on different levels, and those teaching and those students that they put out into the community turn around and get hired by Sac Life TV to do side projects. So the money that comes, not only we could creating a community with a television station so that the community of Sacramento can see what's going on, because we're going to be the inspiration station for Sacramentans to come and see what's going on in our community, whether it's the faith, whether it's our spotlight, whether it's our cold case, or any other things that we produce in our show and get that out to the community. The monies that you give us also filter down in refeed the people that are behind me in terms of not only their stations, but the people that they train and put out in the public now, and they have businesses that need monies. We subcontract, because we're not a big TV station. We subcontract with the monies you give us to produce those shows, and it's the businesses in the community that are Camera Kitchen, some of the people from Access Sacramento that they're now independent producers. Get a little piece of that action, and it helps support them. So it's a big circle of things that are going on. And I think I also mentioned last meeting, and it's still up there, that, you know, a couple of productions that we have done, the Powerhouse podcast on trafficking in Sacramento and our community spotlight on Weave, both of those are up for local Emmys. So if those do happen to get us a nice little statue, just remember, because of your helping us out, you're all executive producers. So I'll have little trophies right up there when the end comes. So thank you for what you do. I look forward to working again with the committee and my PEG stations behind me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Herman. All righty. And so Madam Clerk, I think I messed up and I didn't allow you to read that item coming. So I'm gonna make sure that I do it right this time. Could you please call the next item?
And we have not received any additional public comments for item number 6. And item number 7 is receive and file reports of state franchisees.
Okay, and we do not have any state franchisees in the room, and so we can then move on to the next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Item number 8 is Executive Director Report of General Administration Activities.
Mr. Ayala, the floor is yours, sir.
I spent the last quarter putting a budget presentation together. I really want to thank the team sitting behind me, not just in today's presentation, which I appreciate their input on that, but also everything they've done behind the scenes to try to make free up funds for the larger process. I want to make sure at least I acknowledge them for that. And then beyond that, I'm looking forward to helping you operationalize the plan you put forth, all of you. So thank you so much for that. That's it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayala. And I do want to echo, the thanks to staff. It's difficult to be sitting in the chairs when you're looking at, this is my budget they're talking about, right? But in everything that I've seen from you, that you are dedicated and committed, and I certainly appreciate it, and I want that to be recognized. Thank you very, very much for your support. Okay, next. Please call the next item.
And
I get in trouble for this. See, if I don't do it right, I get in trouble. So.
And item number 9 is Board of Director comments, reports, and updates.
Okay, so I will look around the dais. Does anyone have anything that they would like, Director Gohl?
Just one quick thank you to everybody. My boss, Councilmember Plucky Baum at the City of Sacramento, we host a event every Saturday in June called Pops in the Park. We would like to invite everybody out. It's a concert, 6 p.m. First one will be at East Portal, and if there's a chance to swing by and celebrate and dance and sing, please come on out, and please come shoot it.
You have like a spotlight on that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Is that this Saturday?
I'm sorry?
Member Gohl?
It starts this Saturday at 6 p.m. at East Portal Park. Correct. Thank you.
I don't think you want me to sing, so I might show up, but I'm not going to sing. I like you too much to sing for you, my friend. Okay. All right. I see no other directors. Again, it's getting a bit later than I wanted it to be. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate everyone's patience. I appreciate everyone's input. I appreciate focusing on the common problem, not on people or personalities. Thank you very much. And with that, we're done.
Wow.